5 years felt like a lifetime, and for 5 years, Anya and I had been a couple. It all started when I became her assistant. Her family's company was in trouble, and I wanted to do everything I could to help save it, taking care of everything from the ground up. While I was busy with that, her friends would often make fun of me, calling me a freeloader, someone just living off her family's kindness. The thing that stung was, Anya never really defended me when they did that. It was like she didn't see the need, or maybe she agreed with them on some level. Then came the day she canceled our engagement party. Not just postponed, but completely called it off, because she decided to host a welcome party for someone else, someone she seemed to care about a lot. That night I found myself standing outside the private room where the party was happening. I could hear laughter and voices drifting through the slightly ajar door. And then I heard him ask, "Won't Leo be upset that you suddenly called off the engagement?" I held my breath, listening for her answer. She just laughed, a light, dismissive sound, and said, "Don't worry, guys like him are easy to please." In that moment, standing alone in the hallway, everything shifted. It was like a switch flipped inside me. I knew with absolute clarity that I needed to leave. The day I was scheduled to fly out of the country, something unbelievable happened. She showed up at the airport. She was wearing a wedding dress and had driven here herself in a sports car. She looked ready to propose to me right there in the middle of the airport. But this time, I didn't wait. I didn't stop. I just kept walking towards my gate. It reminded me of the engagement rehearsal we were supposed to have. Anya never showed up that day. I couldn't reach her on the phone, her calls going straight to voicemail. My friend Chris was there, and he tried to make a joke out of it. "The princess got cold feet, huh?" he said, then looked at me with a wry smile. "Probably. You still think this is a joke, asking me? Skip the wedding, man. Stop being her lapdog." I couldn't really blame him for saying that. For a long time, I did act like Anya's lapdog. She was strong-willed, always had been. And when she was unhappy, she didn't seem to care about how her words or actions might make me feel. But I always made excuses for her. I understood her background, growing up privileged, always pampered. It was natural she'd be a little spoiled. I figured, as the man in the relationship, it was my role to just let things slide, to be the bigger person. Besides, I owed her family a lot. I was the orphan boy they sponsored, the one Mr. Carter helped. After college, I became her assistant. She probably thought I took the job because I needed it, or maybe because I wanted a foot in the door at her family's company. She didn't know the real reason. I just wanted to be near her. She didn't know I had fallen for her the first time I saw her. It was at the orphanage. She was like a princess, visiting with her father. Back then, I was too shy, too awkward to even look her directly in the eye. But she smiled at me and gave me a small white gardenia flower. She introduced herself as Anya. In that single moment, she became my first love, and for many years, my only love. I saved that flower, pressing its petals between the pages of my favorite books. It was like a physical reminder of how I carefully, secretly, cherished my feelings for her deep inside. Even knowing she wasn't the most capable person, seeing that her company was full of problems and issues, I still stayed. I turned down offers from big, successful firms just to be there and help her out. For 5 long years, I willingly played the role of her secret boyfriend and her dedicated subordinate. I helped her secure her position in the company, step by step, dealing with the difficult parts and clearing the path for her. Her friends didn't realize the truth. They didn't know that her achievements, the company's improvements, were largely thanks to my efforts behind the scenes, so they just saw me as a freeloader, someone riding on her coattails. I never corrected them, never told anyone the truth, because I knew how much Anya valued her image. Even after all these years, I still loved her. still looked up to her in a way. So I tolerated their comments and silently continued to support her. But I'm human, and I get disappointed too. Constantly giving, putting in all my effort without receiving anything substantial in return, it starts to wear you down. It makes you tired. It makes you start to think about walking away from the relationship entirely. That's why I contacted the hotel manager and canceled the engagement party myself. If I was guessing correctly, Anya was on a flight to Los Angeles that night. The night before, her admirer, Alex, had called. I had heard her talking on the phone from the bathroom. It was hard to imagine how someone like Anya, who was usually so cranky in the morning, could speak so softly, her voice filled with concern, asking what happened without a hint of irritation. I didn't hear what he said on the other end, but I heard Anya's voice, full of worry and care, before she came out. As she rushed past, she accidentally knocked over my glass, sending it crashing to the floor. By morning she was gone, leaving behind only the broken pieces of the glass on the carpet. And I, despite everything, still showed up at the hotel for the engagement rehearsal, just like we had planned. But I had already lost the bet. He was the charming, talented, romantic guy her friends always compared me to, the crush she had back in college but never confessed to before he went abroad. He was the guy I couldn't beat, not even after 5 years. Honestly, I was just tired. The next day at work, I felt everyone's curious stares. Walking past the break room at lunch, I could hear the staff gossiping about me. "You think Leo failed to rise up the ranks?" one of them whispered. "Well, they're not from the same world. Even if they marry, they'll end up divorced anyway." Another voice chimed in, "But I think Leo's pretty handsome and a gentleman." Then someone else, with a harsher tone, said, "So what if he was really capable? Would he be an assistant for 5 years? At best, he's Leo. At worst, a gopher, just surviving by being a lapdog." Another added, "Yeah, our Anya is practically royalty. Since taking over, she's grown the company, and might even take it public in a couple of years. How many people can do that? Falling for this Phoenix man? Luckily, she's woken up now." 5 years, and these kinds of rumors still swirled around the office. I didn't believe for a second that Anya didn't know about them. She just didn't care enough about me to do anything about it. That evening, I worked late, staying until midnight. That's when Anya surprisingly returned to the villa. I expected her to apologize. After all, ditching me for the engagement rehearsal was inexcusable, right? But instead, she came in looking furious. "Leo, what do you mean by canceling the engagement party?" she demanded. "Didn't I tell my assistant I had an emergency trip and to postpone it? What part of postpone didn't you get?" Oh, I remembered. I did get a call from her personal assistant yesterday afternoon, but I didn't want to postpone it, especially not for him. What if he called again next time? I held back the urge to confront her directly, to ask about Alex. I didn't want to fight, not then. The engagement preparations had piled up so much work, and I was physically and emotionally exhausted. I chose a more diplomatic approach. "Anya," I said, my voice calm despite the turmoil inside me. "I feel like we need to really think things through. Marriage isn't a joke. We should be absolutely sure before setting another date." Clearly, she hadn't thought it through at all. She could stand me up for our engagement rehearsal because of him. What about marriage? Was I going to put my dignity on the ground for someone to trample all over again and again? "Leo, what do you mean?" She looked at me with cold, sharp eyes, crossing her arms defensively. "Don't you know how my dad is? He's been pressuring me constantly. Do you know what he said to me today? Since you canceled, you deal with the aftermath. It's not my job to clean up your mess." Her tone was harsh, accusatory. I couldn't help but question her. Clean up? Wasn't the aftermath because of Alex? You could skip our engagement for him, but you're not thinking about your dad's feelings? Then she laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. "I went overseas because it was important, okay? We're clear as day. There was nothing shady going on like you think. I, Anya, wouldn't cheat." "How important?" I asked, my voice rising slightly. "Even more important than our engagement? Why not tell me ahead of time? Was there any chance to discuss it? Even after everything, I don't get an explanation, just you questioning me." "How could I tell you in advance? It was urgent. Did I not have my assistant notify you? Why must you be so unreasonable? Is love the only thing on your mind? Are you just obsessed with me?" I felt like laughing, a hysterical, painful laugh. Doesn't she know that besides thoughts of her, all I think about is helping her take control in her family's company and how to revive the business? Since her dad sponsored my education and medical bills, I had given my all to her family's business, working myself to the bone. "Anya," I said, my voice flat, "you know very well if I'm love-obsessed or not. But can you please not be so possessive all the time and stop being so paranoid? It's really annoying." Her words hit me like a physical blow. I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air. Was I being paranoid? When she left our engagement party for another man, someone she called important, was that me being irritating? It felt like someone had just stabbed me straight in the heart. My mind went blank. I didn't know what to say, how to respond to such cruel accusations. "Fine, whatever," I muttered weakly. She pushed the vase on the table to the ground with a crash and stormed off upstairs, yelling over her shoulder, "You can sleep in the guest room. I don't want to see you." I sat alone on the couch for a long time, the silence broken only by the sound of my own breathing and the pounding in my ears. I didn't go upstairs to comfort Anya. Every single time we fought, I was the one who gave in first, always trying to make things right, always being the one to apologize. Because I was a man, I told myself. Because I loved her more. I used to think I would love her forever, that my feelings were limitless. But I've come to understand that love can be drained, little by little, with each disappointment, each casual cruelty. It's not sadness that overwhelming you like a sudden tide. It's a slow erosion, leaving you empty. I slowly got up and cleaned up the broken pieces of the vase on the floor. As I passed by her bedroom door, I overheard her voice. She was playing games. "Alex, you're amazing," she said, her voice soft and playful. "Another kill, Alex. Come save me, Alex. Are you feeling better? Want to play another game?" Turns out she knew how to comfort someone, how to be sweet and caring. Just not to me, not at that moment. At that moment, I felt dizzy. The floor seemed to be absorbing me, like a black hole pulling me down. Why does Anya always act like nothing happened after she's hurt me so deeply? Does she think she can just keep treating me like this as long as I don't bow down and apologize? What did I even do wrong? I couldn't figure it out. My head ached with the effort of trying to understand. Just like that, Anya and I entered our first silent fight. At the office, she wouldn't speak to me directly, only passing messages through others. Any documents needing her signature, I'd send someone else to hand over. At home, we didn't talk. Not a word exchanged. We still slept in separate rooms. I couldn't have imagined how stifling, how suffocating this atmosphere would feel. But when it actually happened, it just felt like nothing. The disappointment had piled up so high that I didn't even have the energy left to hope for anything new. I didn't expect her to realize that I could be hurt too, that her actions had consequences for my feelings. I didn't expect her to notice my suppressed pain, the compromises and concessions I'd made for love, for her. So much so that when she bailed on our engagement party, my first feeling wasn't even hurt. It was just numbness. A dull, heavy emptiness. One day she got off work early, but I had to stay for an urgent project. I ended up working until past midnight. I wasn't even finished when I got a call from her. "Meet me at the usual place," she said, and hung up without giving me a chance to refuse, without explaining why. Anya had her own assistant and driver. She didn't actually need me to pick her up. That club she liked was really safe too, not the kind of place where she'd be in danger. Plus, we were in the middle of this Cold War, this silent treatment. My gut told me nothing good would come of it, but after some hesitation, I went anyway. I was worried, I guess. Worried she might be drinking too much, messing around with her rowdy friends. Out of some lingering sense of responsibility, I didn't want her getting hurt. When I got to the club room, the door wasn't closed properly. Voices spilled out from inside, loud and clear. "Anya, won't Leo be mad you called off the wedding?" someone asked, their voice tinged with amusement. And then I heard her answer, the same dismissive laugh I'd heard before. "Don't worry," she said. "Obedient dogs are easy to handle, right?" Another voice chimed in. "I always thought he was just a dog your family kept around." Anya didn't deny it. She didn't defend me. She accepted it, even seemed to agree with their assessment. At that moment, the last vestiges of love that filled my heart seemed to be violently ripped away, leaving it cold and dead inside. Then I heard another voice, Alex's voice. "Anya, this is partly my fault. If I hadn't called you, you wouldn't have worried and flown to LA to see me." "Don't say that," Anya replied, her voice soft and sweet again. "I'm really glad you called." Teasing voices filled the room. "What call are you talking about? Share with us? Why call Anya but not us? Aren't we your friends?" Another person joined in. "Alex, you haven't been back in 7 years. Did you come back because you heard Anya got engaged and wanted to break it up? Spill it!" When they mocked me for being a pushover, a lap dog, why didn't she get mad? Why didn't she tell them to stop? The first time I met her friends, they made fun of my knockoff clothes, the only ones I could afford back then. Why didn't she stand up for me then? She just said her friends were straightforward, that no harm was intended. But she knew I bought those knockoffs not out of vanity, but out of ignorance, not knowing the difference. Why didn't she give me a chance to explain? The dignity I had carefully kept intact for years was shredded by her friends' comments and her silence. Yet, whenever I saw the shirts and ties she gave me later, expensive, tasteful gifts, I'd forget the hurt and fall for her even more. It wasn't about the price. It was being touched by how she seemed to be trying to protect my pride in her own way. So every time her friends broke my confidence, she'd patch it up, and I'd be grateful. In this relationship, I had unconsciously placed her on a pedestal, always prioritizing her feelings, her comfort, her image. No matter who was right or wrong after a fight, I would always be the first to apologize, the one to reach out. No wonder they said I was like a dog. Honestly, looking back, I really was a dog, without any dignity left. By calling me here today, she probably intended to use her friends, to use this situation, to make me see my place. To tell me that I was unworthy of our silent feud, that I should just apologize with my head bowed down and go back to being her obedient assistant. But she was wrong. It wasn't submission that drove me to care for her, to tolerate her friends, to help her with the company. It was care, genuine care for her, and gratitude for her family. And now, after hearing what they said, after hearing her agree with them, I didn't care anymore. Just as I was about to turn and walk away, someone approached from inside the room. It was one of Anya's friends, Sarah. "Leo, why aren't you coming in?" she asked, her voice loud, cutting through the laughter and chatter inside. "Were you eavesdropping at the door?" In the past, I would have probably felt awkward, embarrassed, stammering out an excuse. Now I just casually said, my voice calm and even, "You all seem to enjoy gossiping behind people's backs. Is that kind of nonsense really worth eavesdropping on? Sorry, I'm not interested. That's why I didn't go in. We have nothing in common, so I didn't want to ruin the mood you had going." Sarah seemed surprised, taken aback that I snapped back at her. Just as I was about to leave, Anya spoke up from inside. "Leo, come in." I didn't budge. Sarah shot me a gloating look, and then bumped into my shoulder as she went back inside. "Don't make me say it twice," Anya's voice came, colder this time. It wasn't that I wanted to keep fawning over her, to stay and play this game. That's why I didn't leave immediately. I just didn't want to make a scene, not there, not in front of her friends. There was still gratitude, even if there was no love left. Back then, if it weren't for her family helping me out, I, an orphan with congenital heart disease, might not even be alive today. So I turned around and walked in. And there he was, Alex, the guy she supposedly had a crush on in college. I didn't expect him to be so good-looking. Bare skin, delicate features, and that silver hair looked really nice on him, almost ethereal, even better than a celebrity. Just a bit fragile-looking, I guess. No wonder Anya had a crush on him throughout college, but never confessed. "Hey, snap out of it," one of her friends called out playfully. "We know our star looks good, but you don't have to stare like that." Alex gave me a slight smile, a seemingly friendly one. "Don't believe them, they're just talking nonsense," he said, his voice soft. "I'm not a star, just a little painter." I knew about his painting. The starry painting he gave Anya hung in her study, a constant reminder of him. "So, you're Leo, right?" he continued, extending a hand. "I'm Alex. Nice to meet you." If it weren't for the subtle challenge I saw in his eyes, the slight, almost imperceptible tightening around his mouth, I might have actually believed it was a friendly smile. I responded coolly, my voice neutral. "Yeah." Anya, her face stern, spoke to me. "Since you're here, sit down. Our welcome party for Alex isn't over. You'll have to wait." She was sitting next to Alex, with another friend beside her, effectively leaving no spot for me on the main couch. So I sat in the corner, on a single chair, feeling completely out of place. Everyone acted like I was invisible, like I wasn't even there. In the past, I would have felt on edge, anxious, scared her friends would look down on me, that I would do or say something that would embarrass Anya. Even if I didn't think much of her friends myself, I would have tried to get along with them just to avoid upsetting Anya. But sometimes, trying too hard to care, to fit in, just leads to more chaos, more hurt. It took me a while to realize that to those idle, rich kids, the more I tried, the less they respected me. My gestures were seen as sucking up, as desperation. Now, sitting in the corner, I was just glad to have some peace, some space to myself. I took out my phone and started dealing with some work stuff, trying to ignore the noise around me. They were playing some kind of game, passing notes with their mouths. The noise was loud and annoying, their laughter and shouts grating on my nerves. I glanced over, a look of disgust probably on my face. Just then, as Alex was about to pass a note to Anya, it dropped, and they accidentally kissed. Alex quickly pulled back, looking a little flustered. "Anya, sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's fine," Anya said, forcing a smile. She looked stiff, uncomfortable. "It's just a game." I wasn't sure who she was trying to convince, him or herself. Through the crowd of her friends watching, I could see the nervous flicker in her eyes. I mocked myself with a silent smile. "Ah, you too, lost in the game." "Come on, draw a truth or dare for a penalty," someone yelled. "Stare deep into each other's eyes and sing a love song." "Hey, hey, ah!" the others cheered. "OTP vibes!" In the past, I might have been heartbroken, devastated by seeing that. But now, I just felt sick. So sick I wanted to puke. Many of the friends around them were gazing at Alex, all googly-eyed, and Anya's ears were turning red. I hadn't seen her look this in love, this smitten, in ages. These past 2 years, as the company grew and demanded more of her time and energy, she had become more and more impatient with me, more distant. I still remembered that first year at the company, working late on New Year's Eve together. I told her to go home and rest, but she insisted on staying with me, keeping me company. At midnight, the office lights suddenly went out. She stood on the 30th floor balcony holding a sparkler, her face lit up by its glow. "Leo," she called out, her voice clear in the quiet. "Happy New Year. May you never be happy without me in your life." Even her confessions were so assertive, so possessive. Snow began to fall suddenly, soft flakes drifting down. She blushed, her cheeks turning a soft pink, and asked me, "Leo, will you stay by my side from now on?" "Sure," I said, holding a firework in my hand, ready to light it. She ran to me, the sparkler still in her hand, and hugged me tightly. In the moment she hugged me, surrounded by the falling snow and the city lights below, I really felt like I had everything I could ever want. I knew what it was like when she loved me, when she was happy to be with me. So of course I could sense her growing disdain, her increasing impatience, her indifference. Many times I didn't know why the shift had happened, why she was pulling away. At this moment, watching her with Alex, the reason became sickeningly clear. When the music from the love song ended, Alex suddenly picked up the microphone. He turned towards me, his voice carrying across the room. "Leo, don't misunderstand. We just lost a game and we're fooling around, that's all." I swallowed back the ugly words that were bubbling up inside me. "Yeah," I said, my voice flat. "You do you. Have all the fun you want." Anya suddenly sneered, her voice sharp. "Leo, why the sarcasm?" I was confused. I felt like I was acting so magnanimous, so controlled. Why was she still picking a fight, still trying to provoke me? But this time I wouldn't hold back. "If you find me annoying," I said, standing up from my chair, "I'll leave. Clear the space for you. You can carry on with your party." Anya's face turned even darker, a stormy look in her eyes. Then she threw the microphone to the ground with a loud bang. "If you're feeling too left out," she said, her voice tight with anger, "then come over here. Alex, can you scoot over for Leo?" Alex clearly looked stunned for a second, then gave a fake smile, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. "You're right," he said, his voice dripping with false sincerity. "You lovebirds should sit together." I saw him practically grinding his teeth. His animosity towards me all night had been obvious, though I hadn't fully understood the depth of it until now. I still wanted to leave, to just walk out and be done with it all. But Anya grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong, and pulled me towards the couch, forcing me to sit between her and Alex. If they were into each other, if they clearly had feelings, why not just be together? It would save me the trouble of figuring out how to break up with her, how to navigate the messy end of our relationship. What did sticking me in the middle even mean? It felt like I was just another part of their game, a prop to be moved around at their convenience. It was even more nauseating than just watching them. My stomach was churning, a sharp pain hitting me. I realized I had been too busy with work, too caught up in everything that had happened, to eat anything all day. My gastritis, a condition I'd developed years ago, might have flared up again. Just when I was about to tell Anya I needed to leave, that I wasn't feeling well, she pushed a glass of ice-cold drink towards me. "I lost the game," she said, her voice cold and challenging. "You drink it for me." I frowned. She knew very well how bad my gastritis was. She knew I couldn't handle alcohol, especially not cold drinks, and not on an empty stomach. For 3 years, I had drunk quite a bit, blocking for her at business dinners and events, ruining my stomach in the process. These past 2 years, as the business thrived and I wasn't needed in that capacity as much, when I was out socializing on my own, I could just say I was allergic to alcohol, and no one minded. Anya was doing this on purpose. I looked up at her, asking silently with my eyes, "Why?" I honestly didn't get why Anya was doing this to me, why she was being so cruel. Even if you don't love someone anymore, why would you want to hurt them like this? What did I do wrong? I stood by her for 5 years, pulling all-nighters for the company, drinking, giving it my all. I saved the company from ruin, growing it bit by bit. I never took credit for anything, not even the money I deserved. Had it been someone else, they would have already taken a big chunk of the company's shares as payment for their efforts. I get it now. My mistake was not wanting anything material, not wanting shares or money. All I wanted was her love, her affection, her respect. "What, is it such an inconvenience for you to drink for me?" she asked, her eyes still cold. "Am I an inconvenience to you too?" There was a silent, tense moment in the air between us. I didn't speak. I just picked up the glass and drank. The cold liquid burned my already pained stomach. Then Anya lost the second round of the game. Then the third. I took the second drink, forcing it down. Then the third. My stomach hurt more and more with each gulp, a searing pain spreading through my abdomen. Sweat was soaking my back, but still I endured, because this, I knew, was the last time. The last time I would do this for her. The last time I would let her treat me this way. I felt like Anya was getting angrier, her expression hardening with each drink I took. I didn't get it. Wasn't this what she wanted? Seeing me miserable, in pain? Wasn't that exactly what she aimed for? What was she mad about now? Alex, sitting next to me, suddenly spoke up, his voice full of concern. "Anya, I don't think Leo's handling alcohol well. He's looking kind of pale. Want me to drink for you?" I would have been grateful for the reprieve, for someone to step in. But Anya said, her voice sharp, "No need. You've got a cold and you're on meds. Drinking's not good for you." Alex gave me an apologetic smile, a look of helplessness on his face. "Sorry, Leo. Anya's worried about my health. Can't help you out." This is what they call a nice guy online, right? This is what she leaves me for? Such a big guy, so sensitive. Why doesn't he just drop dead? I can't stay here anymore. I can't breathe in this room, in this atmosphere. I grabbed the whole bottle of the cold liquor from the table. I turned to face Anya directly. "I know you're mad at me," I said, my voice trembling slightly. Whether from pain or anger, I wasn't sure. "Here. No need to force drink after drink down me. You want my life, right? You want me out of your life? I'm giving it back to your family. Consider the debt paid." Then, without another thought, I started chugging directly from the bottle. The burning liquor hit my already pained, inflamed stomach like acid. Cough, cough. The alcohol choked me, causing a massive, racking coughing fit. Just as I was about to continue drinking, to finish the bottle, everything went black. In the haze of pain and dizziness, I collapsed. Faintly, as I lost consciousness, I heard gasps around me. "Leo, he threw up blood!" someone yelled. "Call an ambulance!" I felt someone gripping my hand tightly. It seemed like it started raining, the cool drops landing on my face. "Leo, wake up! Don't sleep!" I heard a voice, frantic, urgent. "The ambulance is on its way, please, Leo." But I was so tired, so sleepy. Just a little rest, I thought. I'll just rest a bit. "Leo, wake up! I was wrong! I'm sorry!" Was that Anya's voice? No way. We were together for 5 years, and Anya never apologized. Not once, not sincerely. Probably a hallucination from losing consciousness. Morning came, and I woke up to the sterile smell of disinfectant. I opened my eyes and saw Anya by my bedside. She was holding my hand tightly, her head resting on the mattress beside me. If it were before, maybe I would have been touched by the sight. But now, I felt nothing inside. At that moment, looking at her sleeping face, I realized I really didn't love her anymore. The feeling, the deep, aching love I had carried for her for so long was gone, completely. I slowly pulled my hand away from her grasp. She suddenly woke up, startled. She looked like she hadn't slept all night, her eyes red and swollen, dark circles under them. "I'm fine now," I said, my voice rough. "You should go rest." "It's okay," she said, sitting up straighter. "I'll stay with you. I got abalone porridge delivered for when you woke up so you could have some." She opened the box on the table, the smell of seafood filling the air. She spooned some, blew on it to cool it, and brought it to my lips. I fought the wave of nausea that rose in my stomach. "Just leave it there," I said, turning my head away. "I'm not hungry." Anya looked stunned for a second, then gave a self-mocking smile. "Are you still mad at me?" "No," I said simply. "I just really hate seafood. You know that. I'm not the one who loves seafood." "Leo," she said, her voice softer than I had heard it in a long time. "I didn't think your stomach issues were this serious. If I knew, I wouldn't have made you drink last night. I was too much. My bad. You've been giving me the silent treatment long enough, right? Let's make up. I promise that engagement party situation won't happen again." She reached out and poked my cheek, a playful tone in her voice, trying to smile at me. "I'll be here until you're better, until you recover. If you need anything, just let me know. Leo, calm down, okay?" I was stunned. I never thought Anya would apologize, would try to appease me first, but I didn't feel the slightest bit of happiness or relief. She just looked at me, waiting for my response, for me to accept her apology and go back to how things were. But I was speechless. It was all too late. While I was still at a loss for words, Anya's phone rang. She hesitated for a second before picking it up. Then, her expression changed, becoming anxious, urgent. She suddenly stood up, ready to leave. "Alex, don't worry," she said into the phone. "I'll be right there." After the call ended, she seemed to remember me. She turned back to the bedside, giving me an apologetic look. As expected, once there's a first time apologizing, the second time becomes easier, almost routine. "Leo, I'm sorry," she said quickly. "Something serious happened with Alex. I have to go now." I watched Anya silently. Then, deliberately, I asked, "It's me or him, Anya?" I almost thought for a fleeting second that she was going to choose me, that she would hesitate, that she would prioritize me for once, but she didn't. Anya frowned, a hint of irritation returning to her voice. "Don't be silly, okay? Alex and I are just friends. I promise I'll be back later." Then she left, hurrying out of the room. I didn't stop her. I didn't try to make her stay, because I had already let go. It was good, I thought, that she chose this way, because I had already made the same choice in my heart. Anya, this 10-year crush, this 5-year love ends here. As you wanted, your freedom is yours again. I'm Leo, and I'm done owing your family anything. Maybe she never really liked me that much to begin with. Maybe I was just useful to her, and that's why she kept me around. To be precise, I was useful to the company, useful in securing her position. Now, I wasn't only useless, I might even outshine her, become an obstacle to her future success. I knew Mr. Carter had forced her to marry me, forced her to give me 10% of the company shares. Even though I had said I would sign a prenup, that I wouldn't take company shares, she still guarded against me at every turn, suspicious of my motives. Once, at a party, someone jokingly offered me an olive branch, a potential business opportunity independent of her company. She publicly flipped out, creating a scene, embarrassing them and me. I thought she really cared about me then, that she didn't want me to be beholden to anyone else. But no, she feared I'd leave her, feared I'd become independent of her. She wanted to cut off all my escape routes, to trap me in a cage spun from her so-called love and gratitude. She doesn't let go of me, but she doesn't treat me well either. She just sees me as a tool, a pawn in her power play within the company, within her family. I looked out the hospital window at the steady rain. It made me think of Anya and Alex, playing their game, almost kissing, singing a little love song together. "Even if the rain turns the whole city upside down, I'll hold you in my arms," the lyrics went. "Can't stand it seeing you walking away." I've always been tone deaf. I can't even get a simple nursery rhyme right. So there was no way I could have sung that song with Anya, not the way Alex did. I was no good at sweet talk, at grand romantic gestures. I couldn't paint a beautiful star map for her, or give Anya the kind of effortless, romantic love she seemed to want. I pulled out my phone and slowly started typing a resignation letter in my notes app. Just then, a message from a stranger popped up. "Leo, you okay?" The profile picture was an oil painting of a white gardenia. It reminded me of the gardenia flower Anya gave me, the one I had tattooed on my chest years ago as a symbol of my love for her. I suspected it might be Anya's alternate account, maybe a way for her to check on me without breaking her silence. When I checked out the profile, it turned out to be Alex. His latest post was from 2 hours ago. "Tasting Anya's homemade porridge makes life worth it." That's when it hit me. Anya could cook. We'd been together for 5 years, lived together for a good chunk of that time, and she never cooked for me once. At first, we were both busy with the company, so it was either takeout or having the housekeeper cook our meals. But for the last couple of years, I wasn't as busy, and I started learning to cook for her instead, trying to do something nice for her. It's true, genuine affection doesn't always get you the same in return. I replied to Alex's message, the bitterness rising in my throat. "Don't worry," I typed. "I'm still planning to attend your funeral after 7 days. Not going anywhere before that." He didn't reply. Just as I was about to delete this creepy contact, Anya called. I answered and she started yelling, her voice filled with fury. "Leo, are you crazy? He was being nice. Why curse him? If you can't speak like a human, just shut up." I didn't want to listen anymore. I didn't want to fight. I had made my decision. I cut her off, my voice steady. "Anya, let's break up." She hung up right away. And then she blocked me. On everything. Honestly, I just hoped those two would stay together forever and stop messing with anyone else's lives. After I sent the resignation email to the company, I booked a moving company for the next day. She never replied to the email. I didn't try to contact her either. Worst case, I'd just confront her at work the next morning and deal with it then. The next morning I checked out of the hospital and went back to the villa to start packing. While I was going through my things, I heard the front door open, and Anya's crying echoed through the halls. "Leo! Leo!" she called out, her voice thick with tears. I stepped out of the room. She stumbled towards me, her face pale and streaked with tears. "My dad's in critical condition," she sobbed. "They resuscitated him last night. He's still in the ICU and hasn't woken up. I tried calling you all day yesterday, but you wouldn't pick up. I even went to the hospital to find out you were discharged. Why didn't you answer? Do you know how scared I was?" I paused, then pulled out my phone. There were quite a few missed calls, all from her that I hadn't seen. It was on silent, and I had forgotten to switch it back after leaving the hospital. "Don't cry," I said, my voice calm despite the sudden shock of the news. "I'll go with you to see your dad." Anya hugged me tightly, and I could feel her shaking in my arms. "Leo, I'm terrified," she whispered. "I'm terrified of losing my dad." "It'll be okay," I assured her, gently patting her back. "He's a good man. The good always have luck on their side." When she tried to get into the driver's seat of her car, I stopped her. I had seen how reckless she got behind the wheel when she was upset. I drove us to the hospital instead. At the hospital, we waited in the lounge outside the ICU. I suggested she rest for a bit, telling her I'd keep an eye out and let her know if there was any news. She nodded, her dark circles heavy, and leaned her head on my shoulder. I didn't push her away. It didn't matter anyway. My feelings were numb. My heart had been dead for a while now. The only concern I had, the only reason I was here, was her father's condition. He had donated money for my heart surgery all those years ago, helped fund my education. He was like a second father to me, the only real father figure I had ever known. For the past 2 years, even though Anya had broken my heart again and again with her indifference and casual cruelty, I never left her. It wasn't just leftover affection, a lingering attachment. A big reason was her dad's frail health. I didn't want to upset him, didn't want to add any more stress to his life. Out of the blue, Anya asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. "Are you still mad at me?" "No," I replied. It didn't matter what she did, who she was with, or who she cooked porridge for. It wasn't my business anymore. Anya seemed to sense my intent to end things, to walk away for good. She said, her voice hesitant, "Can we talk? After my dad's better? I can't handle any more hits right now." I replied slowly, my voice neutral. "Okay." I didn't understand why she wasn't having Alex by her side instead, the person she seemed to care so much about. But I didn't ask. I didn't want it to seem like I still cared, like I was jealous or insecure. 3 days later, Mr. Carter pulled through and woke up. The doctors said he was out of immediate danger. He asked to see me alone. He grabbed my hand, his grip surprisingly strong, and looked at me with kindness in his eyes. "Leo," he said, his voice weak but clear. "I know these years have been hard on you." I shook my head. "Not hard, Uncle. It wasn't right to use his favor, his past kindness, to guilt him, to make him feel responsible for how Anya had treated me. It wasn't right to use a favor to guilt someone," he continued, almost as if reading my mind. "But I didn't stop Anya at first because my health was failing. I knew she couldn't handle those company sharks on her own, and I was powerless to help her." "I know." He patted my hand gently. "The engagement party? I didn't bring it up because I was ashamed. I know how hard these years have been for you, with Anya acting the way she did. I tried to advise her, to talk to her, but I couldn't change her. Anya's always been stubborn, and without her mom early on, I spoiled her, and she's become like this. I know being with her was tough." "It wasn't tough," I repeated, shaking my head again. I had gotten used to swallowing all my bitter pills in silence. No one forced me to stay, to endure her treatment. It was my choice. Paying the price for my choice was only fair. He sighed, a deep, weary sound. "When you both visited me early on, your eyes were full of light when you looked at her. But now, they're not." He gave me a testing look, assessing me. Then he sighed again. "I've seen the other side, Leo, and I'm letting go. I don't want you two to end up hating each other, consumed by resentment. But I have one plea. Please don't hate me." Tears welled up in his eyes. "I'm sorry for my selfishness, for putting you in this position. They say guys hardly cry, that we hold it all in. But there are moments, the saddest moments, when you just can't hold it in anymore." Standing there, holding Mr. Carter's hand, hearing his sincere apology, something inside me broke. Tears streamed down my face, silent and hot. It felt like a weight was lifted off my chest, a heavy burden I had been carrying for years, and I could finally breathe. Truly breathe. I could finally be myself now. I would no longer need to please anyone, no longer need to pretend or act a certain way out of a sense of debt or obligation. I nodded firmly at him, my voice choked with emotion. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you so much, Uncle." He smiled gently, looking at me with such kindness in his eyes. "Leo, you're a good kid, and you'll definitely be happy in the future. I decided to support you back then because you're outstanding, Because you deserve it. Don't feel indebted to our family. Even if you owe us anything, you've already paid it back, and more, in these 5 years. Remember, no matter what, even when you face Anya, stand tall. You're her equal, Leo, more than her equal in my eyes. At that moment, warmth filled my heart, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. When someone truly sees your struggles, your sacrifices, and comforts you, acknowledges your worth, you realize what positive feelings are supposed to be like. I placed a small safety charm, which I got from the temple years ago, under his pillow. "Uncle," I said softly, "wish you a speedy recovery. Goodbye." After returning to the villa, I continued packing my things. The moving company arrived just as Anya drove back. She stopped me, her voice angry and confused. "Leo, what's going on?" she demanded, looking at the movers carrying boxes out of the house. I suddenly realized something. Though I had already given up on her in my heart and had decided to break up, she hadn't heard the official breakup from me yet, not clearly. So, I spoke up, my voice calm and serious, stating the fact. "Anya, we're breaking up." Anya looked completely shocked. Then her face twisted into a look of furious disbelief. "Leo, say it again!" "You heard me," I said, my voice steady. "How dare you?" she yelled, taking a step towards me. "What right do you have to break up with me? Without my family, you'd be dead by now." I cut her off, my voice firm. "Your dad's the one who helped me, Anya, not you. If he wants me to repay the favor, I'm happy to, in any way he asks. But I won't use my marriage and a lifetime of my happiness to do it. Sorry, but I'm not willing to make that sacrifice." Anya glared at me, her eyes blazing. "Is it because of Alex? If I say I really don't like him now, that I just see him as a friend, will you stay? What kind of friend has no boundaries? If you don't like it, I can keep my distance from him." "Anya," I said, a weariness creeping into my voice. "Are you just trying to keep me around? To keep me on a leash?" Sure enough, hearing this, she jumped up, her face contorted with rage. "Leo, don't act all high and mighty. If you leave today, don't think about coming back ever again, ever." I stayed indifferent, unmoved by her threats. "Then," she said, her voice sharp with malice, "Alex has been staying at a hotel since he came back. If you leave, I'll let him move in here. See how you like that." Did she really think that tactic would still work on me? That it would make me jealous? Make me beg her to let me stay? "Do whatever you want," I said, turning away from her. "By the way, check your email and approve my resignation letter. I already sent it." Anya stood there, stunned, her mouth slightly open. I didn't wait for her response. I left. Feelings go both ways, I thought. A one-sided relationship where one person gives everything and the other takes without appreciating it simply won't last. When I got to the office, I started the process of handing over my tasks, explaining everything to my colleagues and the person who would be taking over my role. This week, Anya was in a terrible mood. During every meeting, the higher-ups didn't dare breathe loudly, and a few employees got fired for minor mistakes. The atmosphere was tense and suffocating. On my last day, just as I was about to leave, she called me into her office. I walked in, and she looked up at me, her expression unreadable. "Leo," she said, her voice low. "You win. Tell me, what do you want? For us not to break up? And for you not to leave? Just stay by my side." I suspected Anya was losing it, that the stress of her dad's illness and my departure was getting to her. "If there's nothing else," I said, my voice flat, "I'll go now. The resignation process is done. I've handed over everything." Anya suddenly stood up from her chair, as if to stop me, to grab me. "Leo!" Just then, the office door opened, and Alex walked in. He was dressed sharply, looking pretty good, even to someone like me who's clueless about fashion. He was holding a lunchbox, the kind our family's cook used to pack meals in. It seemed like he really had moved in, just as Anya had threatened. I turned to give them space, assuming they had something to discuss privately. But Anya said to Alex, her voice firm, "Alex, I need to talk to Leo. You should go." Alex looked visibly disappointed, his face falling slightly. "So," I said, my voice curt, "we're done talking, Anya. There's nothing more to say. I'm leaving." But Alex blocked my way, looking at me pleadingly, a desperate look in his eyes. "Leo, don't misunderstand," he said quickly. "There's nothing between Anya and me. We're just friends. She's just pitying me by letting me stay at the villa. Don't fight about me. I feel guilty." He paused, then added, "I'm heading back abroad soon anyway. I really hope to see you two make up before I go." "Yeah," I said, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "Just like how you kissed friends, right? Look, it's my issue. I'm too traditional, too old-fashioned, I guess. I can't accept someone like you joining our family, being around Anya like this. That's why I'm leaving. It's my fault." "How could you say that?" Alex's voice rose in indignation. "Misunderstand me if you want, but don't say such hurtful things about Anya. You'll make her sad." I covered my mouth with my hand, a wave of nausea washing over me again. "Stop talking," I muttered, the words barely audible. "Hearing a guy talk like this makes me sick." Alex looked at Anya, clearly upset by my words, waiting for her to defend him. But surprisingly, Anya said, her voice firm, "Alex, go out, please." Alex left unwillingly, shooting me a resentful look as he passed. And then Anya spoke, her voice slow and deliberate. "There's really nothing between us, Leo. Alex suffered from severe depression. 2 days before our engagement, he called me to say goodbye after attempting suicide. That's why I left for LA without informing you, without saying anything. The next day he asked me to keep it a secret, not to tell anyone. So I haven't said anything. He came back to unwind, to recover, and I'm his closest friend here, the only person he felt he could turn to. So I've been looking out for him, making sure he's okay." "Anya," I said, cutting her off, "you don't have to explain. We have no relationship now. What you do, who you're with, it doesn't concern me." "Leo," she said, her voice filled with frustration, "I've already explained. What can't you let go of? What are you still holding on to?" She really seemed unable to grasp why I was insisting on breaking up with her, why her explanations didn't matter anymore. So I decided to make it clearer, to say the words that would finally end it. "Anya," I said, looking her directly in the eye, "I don't like you anymore." The office was silent for a moment, the air thick with unspoken emotions. What did you say?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I don't like you anymore," I repeated, my voice clear and steady. "Since when?" She stared at me, unwilling to let it go, unwilling to accept it. "I don't remember," I said truthfully. "Maybe it was when you played games with me and almost got me killed with alcohol. Maybe it's when you sang to Alex in front of me, ruining our engagement rehearsal. Or maybe it was throughout the past 2 years, every time you took out your bad mood on me, every bit of indifference that burned through my love like acid." For 2 years, fearing losing her, not knowing what I did wrong to make her so distant, so cruel, I hardly slept. Suffering from insomnia became a constant companion. It was in those sleepless nights that I heard her midnight calls, the anxious whispers to Alex, the worry in her voice. It led to an unhealthy devotion, a desperate need to please her, to understand her, to make things right between us. Many didn't know that the day she went to Alex in LA, the day I felt the shift in her, I had my gardenia tattoo removed. It still hurts, even now, worse than when it was first done. But she never noticed the bandage, never asked about it. She never noticed anything that truly mattered to me. News about me quitting spread fast in the industry. and I got tons of job offers, many from reputable companies offering much higher positions and salaries than I had at Anya's company. I turned them all down, though. There was this one company, a leader in its field, that I really wanted to work for. I sent in my resume and was waiting for a response. Soon enough, the general manager reached out personally, impressed by my resume and my track record. Once we set the start date, I started hanging out with my friends again, catching up on lost time. One time, as Chris and I were leaving a restaurant, I saw Anya standing outside. Snow had started falling at some point, soft flakes drifting down from the dark sky. Her face and nose were bright red from the cold, and she looked small and alone. Chris nudged my arm, a warning in his eyes. "If you go back to her with your love-struck mind, Leo," he said, his voice serious, "we're done. Our friendship is over." "Don't worry," I reassured him, a small smile on my face. "I won't." We laughed, a shared understanding passing between us, and started walking away. "Leo!" Anya called out to me, her voice carried by the cold wind. It sounded filled with sadness, a deep, aching sorrow. "Can we talk again?" I grabbed an umbrella from the car, opened it, and handed it to her. "No need," I said simply. "Leo, I'm sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I was wrong. I really do know now. Without you, I can't do anything right. All I think about is you." Tears started to stream down her face, shining in the dim light of the street lamps. "I know my temper's been bad these last 2 years, and the Alex stuff really hurt you. I promise I won't be selfish anymore. I'll never make you sad again, and I'll keep my distance from other guys, from everyone. Okay, Leo, please, give me another chance." She started crying harder, her shoulders shaking. I felt nothing. It was like I was an observer, standing outside a play, watching a scene unfold. Before I could speak, before I could say anything, Chris wrapped an arm around me and mocked Anya, his voice sharp and angry. "What's up with you?" he demanded, facing her. "You only realize you want him back when you've got nowhere to turn, when you've messed everything up. What's wrong with you?" He didn't wait for her to answer. "Last year, for my brother's birthday, you went on a trip with your party friends, leaving him alone. 2 years ago, at his business meeting, he fainted from heat exhaustion because he was working himself to death for your company. And did you even check on him? Did you care? These are just the highlights, Anya. I'm warning you, if you're trying to get back with Leo, I'm the first one to say no. You're harder to shake off than a bad rash. He's finally gone, finally free of you, and you want back in? No chance. Bother him again, and I'm calling the cops." I stopped Chris, gently placing a hand on his arm. I turned back to Anya, who was standing there, the umbrella in her hand, looking lost and heartbroken. "My friend's opinion is my own," I said, my voice calm and final. "It's all in the past." "Late love's worthless," Chris muttered as he led me away, his arms still around my shoulders. "Nothing good comes from someone who realizes too late that they messed up." On the day I flew to Harbor City for my new job, I posted a picture on social media, a simple shot of the sky from the airplane window. A few minutes later, a comment popped up. It was from Anya. "Leo," it said, "I have something important to tell you. Wait, I'm on my way." I blocked her everywhere. This time I wasn't stopping for anyone. Not for her tears, not for her apologies. 28-year-old Leo needed to live his own life now. Later, I heard through the grapevine that Anya had worn a wedding dress and taken a sports car to the airport that day I left, just to propose to me. She had gotten into an accident on the way because she was driving too fast in her desperation. Luckily, no one got hurt. And she was fine, just shaken up. Word about Alex's depression spread from abroad back home, but the full story followed soon after. He had been blacklisted in the art world for copying other people's artwork, a blatant act of plagiarism. He had lived a wild life overseas, funded by a wealthy older woman, a sugar mama, as the rumors went. Maybe he had an art dream at some point, but the temptations of money and easy living had gotten to him. Depression? Nah, not according to the people who knew him. He was just someone with no morals, no scruples. When he ran out of options, when his funding dried up, he turned to his backup plan. He knew Anya liked him, and she now managed a successful company. A real catch. So, he pretended to call her, faking a suicide attempt to get her attention, to make her feel responsible. Back home, he tried to drive a wedge between us, hoping to latch on to her wealth and status. Whether Anya ever truly wavered in our relationship, whether she had real feelings for him beyond friendship and pity, only she knows. My answer doesn't matter anymore. Because with or without Alex, we were bound to end. Our relationship was built on a foundation of debt, obligation, and her simmering resentment. Still, I got a friend abroad to dig up Alex's past, to gather all the information about his plagiarism and his true character. It was a way to pay back Mr. Carter for his old kindness, to make sure Anya knew the truth about the person she was associating with. Someone like Anya, with her pride, her fierce protectiveness of her image, wouldn't tolerate betrayal, especially not from someone she had helped. Later, Alex was in the news back home, not for his art, but for gambling addiction and living a life of dodging debt collectors, likely with her help, trying to shield him from the consequences of his actions. Anya wasn't doing any better. Without my help, without my silent support and guidance, she made some bad decisions at the company, decisions that tanked its reputation and led to significant financial losses. 3 years later, I was a vice president at my new job, thriving and successful. My new CEO, a kind and astute man, threw a party to welcome me officially, a year after I had started. A year before, I had helped broker a major deal with a big real estate company for him, a deal that significantly boosted our company's profile and profits. As I was mingling at the party, talking to colleagues and potential clients, someone approached me from behind. "Leo, can I talk to you for a minute?" I turned around to see one of Anya's old party friends, the one who had made fun of my clothes years ago. Before I could respond, my CEO stepped in, his voice firm and protective. "Today's my friend's day," he said, his arm casually draped around my shoulder. "Don't sour it. Get lost." The guy left, looking embarrassed and sheepish. Later in the bathroom, I overheard him on the phone, talking to someone. "Damn," he was saying, his voice low. "If I knew Leo was this successful, this connected, I wouldn't have chased after Anya. Should have gone after Leo instead." He sighed. "But now it's too late. We used to act all cool towards him, all dismissive. Now he's completely out of our league." He chuckled humorlessly. "No wonder Anya didn't come to the party. She didn't want to be embarrassed. Hiding won't help, though. Everyone knows now she's a fraud. Without Leo, her company wouldn't have grown, wouldn't have achieved anything. Then she betrayed him. And look at her now. Her company's finished, her pride's shattered." He paused, then added, "If she hadn't talked behind Leo's back, calling him useless but obedient, we wouldn't have believed her crap, and we wouldn't have disrespected Leo like that. We thought he was just a freeloader, riding her coattails." He came out of a stall just as I finished washing my hands. I glanced at him in the mirror and said slowly, my voice calm, "You still haven't kicked the habit of talking bad about people, huh?" "Sorry, Leo," he mumbled, avoiding my gaze. I took the paper towel he handed me and wiped my hands carefully, not bothering to look at him again. As for his family's company, the one he mentioned in his call, it's long been blacklisted by me. I admit it. I hold grudges. After the party, as I was heading back to the hotel, I saw someone I hadn't seen in a while downstairs in the lobby. "Anya." She turned around, and that's when I noticed the scar on her forehead, a faint white line against her skin. I thought she had come to ask me to save her company, to help her out of the mess she was in, but unexpectedly she said, her voice quiet, "Leo, I'm leaving." I waited, unsure what she meant. "Going with my dad to a rehab center abroad," she explained, "for his heart. The company isn't what it used to be, but it still has some standing, some value. I've got professionals managing it now. I'm not involved anymore." I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. She seemed calm, almost serene, but there was a deep sadness in her eyes that she couldn't hide. "You probably wondered why I chose to be with you, yet treated you so poorly, right?" she asked, looking out at the rain falling outside the glass doors. I stayed quiet, waiting for her to continue. After a long pause, she said, "Because of jealousy, Leo. I've been jealous of you ever since we were kids. No matter how much I tried, how many tutors I had, I could never match you. My dad always praised you at home, held you up as an example. I secretly competed with you for years, trying to be better, trying to prove I was worth more." She turned back to look at me, a faint, sad smile on her lips. "One day, I wanted to see what kind of person you really were, the boy my dad always talked about. So I went with my dad to the orphanage that day. You know, you shouldn't have looked at me with that obvious admiration in your eyes, Leo. It was like you handed me leverage over you, power I didn't have before. No matter how amazing you were, how successful, you still didn't dare to touch even the edge of my skirt, did you? Your careful demeanor, your obvious adoration, it pleased the insecure me at the time a lot. It made me feel powerful. After you graduated college, I brought you to my side, to the company. I was jealous of how excellent you were, how capable you were in business, how easily you navigated everything. But I also benefited a lot from you, from your hard work and your loyalty. After the company stabilized, after I felt secure in my position, I felt you were less useful to me. Your presence constantly reminded me that I was a failure, only able to rely on a man to succeed. I couldn't hold back the resentment, the frustration, and I would lash out at you, humiliate you on purpose, just to feel more balanced, to feel better about myself. Her voice softened, becoming more vulnerable. A few days before our engagement, I overheard you on the phone with a friend, questioning if getting engaged was the right choice. That call was poignant, I guess, because I had realized by then that there were problems between us, that we weren't as strong as I pretended. I thought you regretted it, that you were having second thoughts. I didn't want to be a failure in love as well. Didn't want to be the one who was left. Instead of waiting for you to leave me, I decided to leave first. So, I used a call from Alex as an excuse and ran to Los Angeles, just to get away, to escape. She looked down at her hands, twisting them nervously. Honestly, Leo, I only saw him as a friend. I was tricked by his depression, by his apparent vulnerability, and felt sorry for him. When you called off the engagement, I was furious. I realized you didn't love me as much as I needed you to, as much as I pretended you did. And I had to confirm it. I couldn't help but lash out, to hurt you back. I deliberately went to Alex and gave you the cold shoulder, hoping you would chase after me, hoping you would try to comfort me like you always did. But not that time. Your indifference really angered me. Your coldness made me want to hurt you, to make you feel even a fraction of what I was feeling. I had them humiliate you on purpose, played ambiguous games with Alex intentionally, and even wanted you to drink, hoping you would finally show some weakness, some sign that you were still affected by me. Her voice cracked slightly. Yet you wouldn't say a word of submission, not one word begging me to stop. When you had a stomach hemorrhage, when you collapsed in the club, I was truly scared to lose you. I didn't want to test how much you still loved me anymore. But your eyes, Leo, your eyes clearly told me you didn't love me anymore. I was terrified to hear you say break up, to hear you say the words out loud. So I went to Alex, knowing he'd post on social media, hoping it would make you jealous, make you come back to me. But you didn't care. You just blocked me. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine, filled with a raw, honest pain. I didn't want to suck it up again and again, to be the one who always apologized, always gave in. But only you were there when my dad was critically ill. Only you came to the hospital with me." Tears were flowing freely down her face now. "When you resigned, I was furious, thinking you did it just to defy me, to hurt me. But I was actually scared, Leo. Scared you'd leave, afraid something would happen before the company went public, before I was truly secure." She took a shaky breath. "So, I begged you to stay, but when I personally heard you say you didn't like me anymore, standing there in my office, I felt my world truly collapsed. I couldn't even bring myself to try to persuade you anymore." "Every day since you left," she whispered, "I've been lost." Suddenly, I didn't know what I wanted anymore, what I was working towards. While in school, I saw you as an imaginary opponent, someone to compete against, comparing grades, comparing achievements. At work, I relied on you while being consumed by jealousy because I had too many negative emotions towards you, too much resentment built up. I forgot that I, too, in my own way, loved you. She touched the scar on her forehead. By the time I realized it, Leo, it was too late. I couldn't catch up to you anymore. She touched the scar again, a faint line on her skin. "I left this scar on purpose," she said, her voice low, "to remind myself constantly of how foolish I've been, of what I missed, of the person I pushed away." She looked at me, her eyes pleading. "Leo, I'm telling you all this not to win you back or to atone for what I did, but so you know that in our 5 years together, you did nothing wrong. You were great, Leo. I was the problem." She gave a sad, self-deprecating smile. "After the breakup, lying awake every night became my problem, just like it used to be yours. Don't pity me, Leo. I brought it on myself." She took another shaky breath. "I hope after the breakup you can sleep well every night, without needing sleeping pills. I wanted you to know I did love you, Leo. That's it." She hesitated for a moment, then said softly, "Goodbye, Leo." She turned and slowly disappeared into the rainy night. I stood there for a long time, watching her back, until she was gone. There were so many things I wanted to say, so many words I wanted to speak, yet no words came. In the end, love left both of us wounded, scarred, and yet, in strange ways, stronger apart. She once said she hoped my happiness would be incomplete without her, that I would never be truly happy without her in my life. But every night, since we parted, has been a true peace for me. A night of quiet rest I hadn't known for years. Eventually, I just softly said to the empty space where she had been, "Goodbye." The fact that I loved her once was indeed a small matter in the grand scheme of things. And it was over a long, long time ago.